Pain has always been a language older than fire. Before gods learned to rule, before kings learned to conquer, pain taught the universe how to remember. And in one forgotten corner of existence, two ancient philosophies began drifting toward collision, each convinced the other was a lie. Apocalypse stood upon the ruins of a dead future. The sky above him was bruised purple and black, fractured by temporal scars, left behind by wars yet to be fought. Cities lay folded into themselves like discarded metal bones, their towers melted and twisted by energies that had rewritten physics. This was a timeline that had failed, a weak timeline. And Apocalypse, the first and greatest mutant, had come to pass judgment. For millennia, Apocalypse had believed one truth: only the strong deserve to exist. Civilizations rose and fell under his gaze. Gods were tested, empires were broken, survival was the only sacrament worth honoring. Anything else was sentimentality masquerading as morality. Yet here in this ruined future, something defied that truth. A signal, not technological, not psionic, not temporal. It was sensational. Pain without injury, pleasure without flesh, suffering refined into doctrine. Apocalypse felt it before he understood it. An intrusion that did not attack his body or his mind, but something deeper, his certainty. The air vibrated with a resonance that crawled across his armored skin like invisible hooks. Symbols began to form in the dust at his feet, etched by unseen hands, spirals and sigils that twisted the concept of geometry itself. Apocalypse clenched his fist, reality bending slightly in response. "Reveal yourself," he commanded. His voice layered with the weight of extinction. The ground split, not with fire or force, but with invitation. A black geometric structure emerged from nothingness, unfolding like a puzzle that had been waiting to be solved. The Lament Configuration manifested at a scale impossible for mortal perception, each edge rotating, locking, unlocking, reshaping itself with surgical precision. Chains of light and shadow spilled from its angles, not striking, not attacking, observing. And then the air tore open. Pinhead stepped through, tall, immaculate, pale flesh carved with perfect symmetry, nails embedded in his skull like ceremonial stars. His eyes were calm, ancient, and utterly uninterested in fear. Leather robes clung to him like priestly vestments, and the space around him seemed to listen when he moved. "We have such sights to show you," Pinhead said, not as a threat, not as a promise, but as a statement of fact. Apocalypse did not flinch. He scanned Pinhead instantly, cataloging energies, dimensions, power thresholds. This was no god, no mutant, no demon in the traditional sense. This being existed outside evolutionary struggle. "You are not a survivor," Apocalypse said. "You are an aberration." Pinhead tilted his head slightly, curiosity flickering across his scarred face. "And you," Pinhead replied, "are a creature who mistakes endurance for enlightenment." The ruins around them shifted. Time slowed, then folded inward. The future Apocalypse had conquered began to unravel, replaced by corridors of endless black stone stretching into infinity. Bells echoed in the distance, slow and deliberate, tolling not for death, but for revelation. Apocalypse felt his connection to this timeline weaken. That was unacceptable. He drove his power outward, attempting to dominate the space, to overwrite it with his will. Energy surged from him like a newborn star, rewriting matter, asserting supremacy. The corridors did not break. They welcomed the force. Chains slid across the walls, responding not to strength, but to intent. The space was alive with anticipation. This was not a battlefield, it was a sanctum. Pinhead stepped closer. "You seek to perfect existence through survival," he said. "We perfected it long ago through sensation." Apocalypse's eyes narrowed. "Pain is a tool," he said, "a means to temper the strong." Pinhead smiled faintly. "Pain," he corrected, "is the destination." For the first time in countless ages, Apocalypse felt something unfamiliar, not fear, not doubt, but the unsettling realization that this being did not care whether he won or lost. only that he experienced. The chains began to rise, not attacking, not yet, waiting, and somewhere beyond time the universe held its breath, because strength had finally met something that did not wish to conquer it, but to understand it, peel it apart, and savor every layer. The chains moved first. They did not strike with violence, but with intent, dozens of them sliding through the air like deliberate thoughts, curving toward Apocalypse from every impossible angle. They carried no weight, yet the space around them groaned, as though reality itself were being pulled apart, thread by thread. Apocalypse did not retreat. He caught the first chain mid-motion, his hand closing around it as if gripping solid steel. The moment contact was made, sensation exploded through him. Pain, pleasure, memory, hunger, despair compressed into a single overwhelming instant. Visions flooded his mind, civilizations screaming in ecstasy as they were unmade, beings begging not for mercy, but for more. Apocalypse roared, the sound tearing through the Cenobite realm like a rupture. No, his body adapted instantly. Skin hardened, nervous systems rewired, pain receptors recalibrated into fuel. The chain snapped, not torn but overwritten by his will. Energy surged through Apocalypse as he ripped the sensory assault apart, learning from it, evolving beyond it in real time. Pinhead did not react with anger, only interest. Fascinating, Pinhead murmured. The labyrinth responded, hundreds more chains erupting from the walls, the floor, the air itself. They wrapped around Apocalypse's limbs, torso, throat, each one a conduit of exquisite torment, designed to dismantle identity layer by layer. Apocalypse planted his feet. Reality buckled. With a surge of cosmic force, he expanded, his form growing massive, armored plates reshaping, ancient celestial technology awakening within his body. The chains stretched, strained, then began to fail, dissolving as Apocalypse's power eclipsed the laws governing the Cenobite domain. This realm, Apocalypse declared, his voice echoing across infinite corridors, exists because you have never faced something stronger than it. He reached forward and seized the space itself, crushing corridors together like collapsing ribs. The labyrinth screamed, not in pain but in denial, as its geometry folded inward. Pinhead raised his hands at last. Chains struck again, sharper, faster, piercing into Apocalypse's essence rather than his flesh. For a moment, just a moment, Apocalypse staggered. His mind was dragged toward endless sensation, toward eternity without conquest or purpose. Then his eyes burned brighter. Apocalypse adapted again. He absorbed the dimension. Energy flared as he tore free, his power rewriting the Cenobite laws, severing the connection between pleasure and control. The bells stopped ringing. The chains fell limp, their authority broken. Pinhead looked, surprised. Apocalypse advanced. He struck Pinhead with a force that shattered the conceptual ground beneath them, hurling the Cenobite through collapsing corridors and into the core of the Lament Configuration itself. The black geometry cracked, its perfect angles distorting under raw evolutionary dominance. "You mistake eternity for inevitability," Apocalypse said, towering over him, "but eternity can still be conquered." With a final surge of power, Apocalypse collapsed the Cenobite gateway, sealing the labyrinth inward upon itself. The realm folded, compressed and vanished, Pinhead imprisoned within his own dimension, bound not by chains, but by inferiority. Silence returned. Apocalypse stood alone amid the ruins of reality, victorious. He turned away without ceremony, because pain had failed to break him, and only the strong were ever meant to endure.